nominations. Mr. Jones? And remind me, I'll have to call for an individual vote then. Keep me on track. And sorry for the delay, y'all. I know your time is precious, especially TJ's. But do the best I can. The moment. I call to order the regularly scheduled board meeting of the Pearl River County School District held August 13th, 2020, beginning at 5:41 p.m. in the Endeavor Campus Chapel. I've asked for a special guest to lead us in the invocation. Missy Lee, will you come up, please? And I want to tell you a little bit about Missy Lee. She was born and raised in Pearl River County. She has been married to Tracy Lee for 32 years. Ooh, you dated yourself, sister. They have 4 children, which are all PRC alumni, and 3 grandbabies. Missy has attended Resurrection Life for 30 years, where she is full-time staff. She has been children's pastor since 2015. She opened and ran a preschool at the church from 2005 to 2012. All of Tracy and Missy's children are graduates from PRC with scholarships for college through dance, baseball, CTE program. Woo, for those scholarships, right? She serves on many booster clubs, boards here in Pearl River County during her parent days. She served on the PTA board, the football, band, show choir, and baseball booster. She served on the baseball booster club for 10 years as secretary, treasurer, and the concessionary. She served with the Superintendent's Community Advisory Board for Mr. Lumpkin a year, served on the Civics Women Community Board for young women for 3 years, and has volunteered countless hours in our community. She has a heart of passion for our students and young people. And thank you for all of that. It's exhausting listening to it. And thank you for your years, not only at PRC, because many years here, but for the community. Thank you for that. So if you would lead us in the invocation, please.
Thank you for having me. I just wanted to say one of my favorite verses that I have taught my children for a long time was Jeremiah 29:11. It says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future." So I pray as you guys start and learn a new school year, you feel God's peace over you. I pray this is the best year ever. We have an opportunity in our area. Let's hit the ground running. The path is wide open to try new things, and it's still great opportunities to learn. Thank you for all you do as a board, as administration, and as teachers to teach our children. I may not have kids here anymore, but I always say, once a blue devil, always a blue devil. So today, I felt like the Lord gave me a blessing for you guys. I want to do that first. I wrote this last week. Today, I thank you for the teachers who notice a special gift in a child. Thank you for teachers who are listening and a gentle guider. Thank you to the teachers who expect much and love enough to demand more. I pray you sustain teachers and leaders who give everything with little in return for most. I pray today for the blame some carry for the things that are out of their control. Strengthen them and guide them and lead them. I pray for encouragement to teachers to care and inspire, to nourish each child, student in their care. I pray for motivation to always learn that it's fun for them, and teaching will always be fun. I pray as teachers begin a new year of challenges that you continue to bless the teachers who has the gift of empathy for our girls, Lord help you, and the gift of wisdom to the ones who is admired and sees the potential in the ones that aren't so noticed, but you support them anyway. I pray you guide each with strength, peace, health, and wisdom during your time of mass confusion. I pray you bless the teachers who are expected to teach and keep the word of learning running smooth right now. Bless the administration, guide them with knowledge and wisdom during our pandemic. So I'm just going to pray over you guys.
Thank you.
Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, I just thank you for the board and for teachers and administration, Lord. I pray that as the opportunity is wide open for us as leaders of our community, Lord, that you would give us peace, that you would give us wisdom, that you would give us strength. And Lord, I pray most of all that you would guide them with your hand of mercy. Lord, I pray that you would put a hedge of protection around everyone here, Lord, as we start a new school year. And Lord, I pray that you would restore and rebuild the year that has been lost, Lord, that this would be a great year for our school district, for our community, and for leaders. And Lord, I pray that you would guide us, you would direct us, and you would be with us and keep everyone safe. And let us have a great year. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you. And I guess the Colonel's not here yet. If you would, Mr. Herron, will you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. United we trust.
Thank you, Mr. Herron. Did we have any public comments? Did somebody grab a sheet?
No one.
Let the minutes.
They signed up.
Okay, so let the minutes reflect that there were no public comments. Do I have a motion to consider the agenda?
I make a motion to consider the agenda.
Thank you for that motion, Mr. Frazier. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you for that second. Any discussion? I will call for a vote. Keep me on track, Mr. Herron. And District 1 is Ms. Burge, right?
Yes.
So District 2,
Yes.
District 3,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 5. Motion carries. Do I have a motion to consider approving the board minutes from July 1st, July 16th, and July 29th, 2020?
I'll make a motion to consider approving board minutes of July 1st, 16th, and 29th, 2020.
Thank you, Mr. Herron, for that motion. Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Frazier, for that second. Any discussion? I will call for a vote. District 2,
Yes.
District 3,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 5, vote yes. Motion carries. Superintendent's report, Mr. Lumpkin.
Thank you, Ms. Voss. Welcome everyone to our regularly scheduled August school board meeting. This is always a very exciting school board meeting as we're fixing to begin the school year. And we're excited about it. And I first want to thank our school board for your consideration and approval of delaying the school start for 1 week. Our support staff and teachers and employees have really taken advantage of that week. It has been tremendous. And we're excited for Monday, which will be the first traditional in-person school day. And our teachers, again, took advantage of that. And I'm just going to talk to you a little bit, professional development report. Again, our staff came home on August the 5th. Actually, August the 4th was our new blue. That was our new employees to the school district, a little over 20 new employees district-wide. We met them and had an orientation on August the 4th. And then our returning employees showed up on August the 5th. And we've had a good full week of preparation. Our faculty and staff, they've been busy over these last several days. They've been learning about the new procedures that are being put in place in our district, keep our faculty and students safe as we return to school in the middle of a pandemic. Our staff, they've learned procedures from regarding disinfecting the classrooms, to PPEs, to social distancing, symptoms of COVID-19, arrival and dismissal procedures, lunch and breakfast, how we're going to transition that as well as classes. So a lot of different procedures and guidelines that had to be run through and trained our staff on. They've been busy with that this week. On top of, you know, teachers, they want that classroom just right for the first day of school. So on top of that, they're getting that classroom ready. And as you know, as we finish construction in a lot of our places, reopening, Mr. Burleson, would you say 30 to 35 brand new classrooms reopening on Monday? So you add that to teachers that were moving to a brand new classroom. getting it set up. So again, that week was tremendous for us to take advantage of. I spent a lot of times also virtually. Our teachers are not only teaching students in the classroom, they will be teaching virtually. Ms. Poulsen has been doing a lot of virtual training with our teachers, and they're getting ready for those virtual students just like our traditional students, because we want to be able to provide a top-level education for all students, virtually and traditionally. They worked hard to prepare the classrooms and welcome the students back. They've also been contacting every parent in the school district over this past week. And if they didn't make contact, they left messages, and they're continuing to contact through Friday those that they have not been able to get in contact with to speak. Because as a parent, I'm a parent, there's parents in this room, as your child, this is not your normal year going back to school. So there's a lot of anxiety, there are a lot of questions, and we wanted our teachers to be able to have a phone conversation before they ever got to the campus to relieve any anxiety and answer any questions that they have. So they're contacting those parents. We're also in the middle of sidewalk talks with parents coming up, virtual Meet the Teachers, virtual campus tours. All that is going on this week as well. And we can't wait to see Blue Devils walk on our campuses on Monday. We'll give you a quick report on registration. This is as of Wednesday, August the 12th, yesterday, close of business yesterday. We had 3,107 students, 3,107 students that had completed registration. There will be more. We have students every year that show up on day one that have not completed the registration. So we're looking for that to be the same case this year. But right now, submitted registered students, 3,107. 671 of those students have signed up for the virtual option. So on Monday, they will start their education in the virtual setting. That's 22% of our school district registered students will take advantage of the virtual option. The other students will be in person. A couple of things to remember. Today and tomorrow, remember, we had our distance learning. Thursday and Friday, August 13th and 14th, our students are currently doing assignments with their family on the importance of social distancing, good personal hygiene, hand washing, things of that nature, cleaning their personal area that they're going to be in the classroom, and not sharing items with other students. They're also learning about the COVID-19 virus and how it is contracted, and to help minimize those risks. So those are assignments that they're doing with their family today and tomorrow to be prepared to start on Monday. Student safety report, I want to talk to you a little bit about our school reopening plan. As I've mentioned to you before, this will come up every month. And again, I'm just going to highlight the things that you're going to be considering to amend this month. And if you want to pull that up, I'm going to scroll down. One of the first things you're going to see highlighted in yellow is the personal protective equipment. As you know, the executive order with the mask mandate for the state, we amended our plan to match that executive order. So all PRCSD students, 6 years of age and above, employees and visitors, all will be required to wear a face covering the nose and mouth on our school campuses and school buses. The face covering mandate is in accordance with the executive order, and it will remain in effect unless it's modified, amended, rescinded, or superseded by Governor Reeves. The next thing you will see is the minimum 14-day quarantine. CDC had went to a 10-day, and now they've come back to a 14-day, okay? It will get a little confusing, and I will note there is a 10-day in there, but it's only for school employees. School employees have been deemed essential personnel in the school district by the Mississippi Department of Health. So parents, visitors, household members that aren't school employees, they have to adhere to the 14-day quarantine for a positive test or direct contact in the household with a positive test. School employees will have to adhere to a 10-day quarantine because they are essential personnel. The other thing that this is fresh off the presses is our admin team met today. We are recommending a cohort group quarantine to amend our reopening plan. And this is when A cohort group is, an example is a class, okay? A team, a bus. It's a group of students that are within a group, okay? When 3 or more students in that cohort group, hopefully it doesn't happen, but if 3 or more students within a cohort group test positive for COVID-19, we will quarantine that entire group. Okay? If you have any questions when we get to that point, I'd be glad to answer those. And again, they will quarantine for 14 days unless a teacher or a school employee is in that group. They would adhere to the 10-day quarantine, the final contact with that group. That also has to be within 14 days. And that's from the CDC recommendation. It's 3 or more within a consecutive 14-day window would have a 14-day quarantine of the entire cohort group. I think that is it on the reopening plan. At this point, I will move on at this point and let Mr. Burleson and Mr. Bowen. Did we lose Mr. Bowen, or is he still out there? We've had some great things going on with construction and reopening some buildings and things right here on the final stretch before school starts. So, Mr. Bowen, can you hear me?
Yes, indeed. I finally got to a place where I could talk.
All right, I'm going to turn it over to you for our construction report.
Well, thank you very much. How are you all doing this evening?
Doing good.
Great, and congratulations on getting things ready for school this year. I'm gonna be. I hope you all should have the report already, the summary. So I'm just gonna go through it pretty quickly. Right now, on the lower elementary campus, the AB building, the cleanup is going on around the AB building. Alphabet Street needs some attention, although it already has been cleaned. And some of the in the brick veneer is complete. AC units have been installed in all classrooms, and the duct installation has begun with about 50% of the rooms completed. Primer coat for painting has been applied in all classrooms. The BC building, teachers have moved in the classroom, but the TV monitors are not all in right now, installed in the classroom. And there is some baseboards, some rubber base that needs to be installed. But most of the items on the contractor has some things left on this punch list over there. The restaurants are not complete, but should be completed before school starts. The AK building has some punch items left on it as well, like baseboard and a little floor covering, because some of the glue is not taken. So most of the time when you have glue that's not taken, fully adhered, it typically is a moisture issue. And so we're working to get that wrapped up. The restroom in the bed is not complete. The floor covering is, the floor covering has to be installed. Some electrical outlets need to be fixed and touched up, and drop-ins installed. The cafeteria has some punch items, very similar to that of the AK building. The library has been gutted, and plaster installed and wrapped. The glass has been installed on the south end of that particular building. The courtyard has been cleaned and it has grass planted, which is, thank God for that. Going to the middle school, the B building is complete except for a piece of rubber base, cove base, around the millwork. And the fencing on the south side of the building, installation has begun. The patchwork for the road with the asphalt is complete, and the inlet at the edge of the roadway is complete as well. At the high school building, the C building is complete, except for the floor covering in 2 of the rooms that are temporary, that temporarily have carpet in. And I saw that the carpet actually really nice, but the contractor put that in just in case, time got there before the additional tile could reach it on site. You got 2 manhole lids that have been come in. All my curb inlets are done. all the side curbs and curb inlet sidewalks and all that has been installed. So that's moving on pretty good. And lastly, the multi-purpose building, I think is moving, in particular, in light of the weather and that we've been dealing with. 65% of the footings are poured. 50% of the grade beams have been installed and poured. The rough carpentry and the conduits have been installed. The rough plumbing is at 80%. All elevations have been marked and on point to make sure that all levels are right. And right now there's a 3 a.m. schedule, report schedule for in the morning if weather permits. And that's where we are.
Mr. Bowman,
Yes, sir.
I had a question about the cafeteria back at the lower elementary school. Looked at on some of the electrical systems, the alarm and the sprinkler systems. So do you have any idea when those may be completed? Will we be able to use that building?
Well, I will tell you, I do not have that answer at this exact moment. I do not. But what I will do is, if you would allow me, is to get with TJ in the morning and have that answer for you first thing in the morning.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you all.
Any more questions for Mr. Bowen or Mr. Burleson or Bond Construction? If not, Ms. Bowles, that concludes the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Walker.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion to consider approving the following financial items? And if the board so chooses, we can take that A through O.
A through O?
Yes, sir.
I make the motion to consider the following financial items, item 7A through O.
Thank you for that motion, Mr. Frazier. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Herron, for that second. Any discussion? We'll call for a vote. District 2?
Yes.
District 3?
Yes.
District 4?
Yes.
District 5 votes yes. Motion carries. Do I have a motion to consider approving the ad valorem tax resolution for fiscal year 2020-2021?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you for that motion, Mr. Herron. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you for that second, Mr. Frazier. Any discussion? We'll call for a vote. District 2?
Yes.
District 3?
Yes.
District 4?
Yes.
District 5 votes yes. Motion carries. Do I have a motion to consider approving pay application number 15 to J Van?
I'll make a motion to consider approving pay application number 15 to J Van.
Thank you for that motion, Mr. Herron. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Jones, for that second. Any discussion? He said it too. He beat you by a millisecond.
Oh, okay.
Do any discussion? I will call for a vote. District 2?
Yes.
District 3?
Yes.
District 4?
Yes.
District 5 votes yes. Motion carries. Do I have a motion to consider approving pay application number 2 to Colony Construction?
Make a motion to consider approving pay application number 2 to Colony Construction.
Thank you for that motion, Mr. Frazier. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Herron, for that second. Any discussion? We'll call for a vote. District 2?
Yes.
District 3?
Yes.
District 4?
Yes.
District 5 votes yes. Motion carries. Do I have a motion to consider the consent agenda? And that goes A through,
You skipped one.
oh, did I skip one? I didn't say that one? Okay. Do I have a motion to consider approving pay application number 18 for Warden Smith?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you,
Motion
Mr.
to consider approving pay application number 18 to Mr. Ward Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Jones, for that motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Herron, for that second. Any discussion? I will call for a vote. District 2,
Yes.
District 3,
Yes.
District 4, District 5 votes yes, motion carries. Okay, now, do I have a motion to consider the consent agenda, and that will go A through G?
Make a motion to consider the consent agenda, items A through G.
Thank you for that motion, Mr. Frazier. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Herron, for that second. I will call for a vote. District 2,
Yes.
District 3,
Yes.
District 4, District 5 votes yes, motion carries. Do I have a motion to consider our policies? And it'd be considered policy section F. No, that's A through E. Right? Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know why the first line is.
yeah, it was a little,
I think we take section F first and then take the.
It's A
through
through E.
E.
It's section F of the policies.
Yeah, so
Oh,
it would
gotcha,
cover all the
gotcha.
policies that we've, and we pulled, I know we pulled one, I pulled one, just to have separate. Is that not right? On your agenda, do you see under policy E?
Your agenda, you can have them on. Oh, no.
Okay.
Remember y'all wanted to take them out?
Okay.
Change that down.
Okay.
So are we good with A through E?
A through E.
Okay, do I have a motion for that?
I'll make a motion to consider approving policies A through E. Right?
I'd say under section policy or something, just so that we know it's not policy. You're gonna write it, right? I'm sure.
Yeah.
Under
Okay.
policy, yeah. Okay, so I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you for that second. Any discussion? We'll call for a vote. District 2,
Yes.
District 3,
Yes.
District 4, District 5 votes yes, motion carries. Do I have a motion to consider discussing the school board policy BBBCB, school board member visits to the school?
I make a motion to consider discussing school board policy BBBCB, school board board visits to schools.
Thank you for that motion, Mr. Frazier. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you for that second, Mr. Herron. Any discussion? Well, I asked for this one to be on the agenda. This is a policy that MSBA, as you all know, MSBA for the last few months have been sending down policies as recommended to possibly consider suspending until after the COVID pandemic. So this is one of those policies that came down as a possible recommendation for suspension during this time. So as everybody knows, the state requires that the school board members are in the school district one day out of the school year. So I wanted to open the floor for discussion to see how fellow board members felt, because of course we're trying to keep the number of people and the traffic down in the schools as much as possible, adhering to social distancing and focusing on our kids being able to be educated in the safest environment possible. So we've, kind of limited some of the in and out.
So
But I
this
wanted to
is-
open this up for discussion.
This requirement is for us to spend a day there in the 2021 school year.
Yes, yeah, that's for this, because we've already, the 2020 2021 school year. So it's from now
Yes,
until the
that's what I
fall.
meant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what that
So
year.
you've got till from now till the end of May.
Well, our policy gives a very, I thought it had a
Y'all
specific.
talked about that last
Yeah,
time.
That's
we
what
had
about
that.
doing about in December.
Right.
right, in
Right, yeah.
December.
Right.
That was that discussion.
Right. Oh, yeah.
It's been changed, the lane's changed a little bit.
So I just didn't know how y'all felt about 5 board members along with, with Mr. Lumpkin taking us through the school district. I have an opinion. I'll share my opinion first. I feel that it is, in my opinion, imperative that we are in the school district.
Yeah, I do too.
We have we're spending a lot of taxpayer money at this point, with bond construction. I feel like I personally want to see that we have soap in our bathrooms, hand sanitizer. Not that I don't trust the administration, but there is a reason why we're supposed to be in the school district, to make sure that the buildings are not in disrepair. Well, part of that is that we are also providing the essential things at this point for the student and our teacher and our staff's safety. So I personally feel like we can adhere to that with wearing masks and social distancing and just be mindful, because we do like to visit sometimes during our school visits, and talk to the teachers. We're not there to visit, we're there to make sure things are as though they should.
Well, what if we did what if we amended the time that we spend there? I mean, I know it takes a lot of time to run through. But what if we amended the time and/or did it when students weren't there?
Like after.
Like a Saturday morning or an afternoon at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock? Because we could still get what we needed to get done.
Here's another thing, it's one day, but you don't have to complete it in one day.
Right.
So with the.
Yeah, so it might be actually better to do every other month for.
Yeah, and that's what, I'd recommend to you to,
One day is how many hours? It's 6 or 8 hours.
we can set aside, one visit to the large campus there at McNeil and do half a day after the kids are gone. And then do another day, and then just chop it up instead of trying to get everything in one day. We can help you with that. And you tell us how you want to do it, we'll be there.
Yeah, and the other thing that Pastor said, it's not necessary that we all go as a group. So, I mean, if that becomes a problem and you need to go individually, I know it's something you have to manage, but it's not necessary we all go at the same time. It be the only that we spend that required amount of time in the school. But I also know that our school opening plan has some language in it about minimizing visitors too, so we have to be mindful of that as well. So I mean, it's kind of like a double-edged sword, but we do need to be mindful of the responsibilities to review the schools, look at those schools, and try to identify things that may need attention. So it's you have to weigh the benefits.
Right.
Another thing I'll throw out on the table too is you have a monthly regular meeting, and we could set up, and especially some of our newer buildings, we have larger spaces now, we can set up for a meeting in those spaces. And you could have the meeting there, and you can show up 2 hours before, if that works for your schedules. And you get 2 hours knocked out of the tour, do the meeting, because you're already gonna be there for the meeting, just throwing things out that you can think about and chop it up again to meet your one day. So just some things, we're very flexible. You tell us how you want to do it, and we'll make it happen.
Mr. Jones, do you have any comments on the subject?
No, I think either way, if we break it up into multiple days, that's all the scheduling issue, as long as we meet the requirements of a day on campus.
Okay.
So do we'll leave the policy alone and we adjust the schedule in our own correspondence or?
Yeah, because the policy doesn't tell us
Okay.
how to do it. It just says we have to accomplish it. My only thought process on that is breaking it up is not going to, unless we decide to do it after hours, it's not going to minimize the exposure, in my opinion, because we're going to be there one day or we're going to be there another day.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying.
And then that then brings up another issue, is that then we're putting 5 board members with 5 different schedules and trying to juggle that, possibly 2 or 3 additional days. And that becomes concerning because then we're trying to make sure that everybody did get their hours in that whole, year like we're supposed to per law. That's my only concern with that. I think, it would totally be up to y'all. So I don't feel at this point it's on the agenda to see whether we should or should not suspend it or amend it in any way. So at this point, what I'm hearing is it doesn't need to be amended or suspended, in y'all's opinion, correct?
Well, again, like I said, we need to be mindful of our responsibilities and also how much of a disruption it may be to our faculty and staff when they're already trying to manage the classrooms and also this academic. But again, I think that if the superintendent and the administration are able to accommodate us, I don't see why we shouldn't do that.
Right. And I think the only, if I'm not mistaken, we don't need coffee and donuts, and y'all are very accommodating and spoiling, no.
If I'm gonna take off work, we're gonna do something.
We are there to do a job. The only person that I feel like we would
Chicken sandwiches.
yeah, you might get a brown paper back chicken sandwich on the way out of the door, right? Would be Mr. Lumpkin, because I don't feel we're there to socialize like we have in times past.
I totally understand what you're saying, and I respect that. I'm gonna tell you,
We can't control those people, right?
when you walk on our campuses, you're special guests, and I can tell them not to do it, they're
Yeah.
going to do it.
Well, it needs to be brown paper bag on the way out. 'Cause
They
we
will do
not.
it with the pandemic guidelines,
There you
but I'm
go.
just telling you, they're
There
going
you
to
go.
do something.
And I think also, and I'll be honest, speaking on that train of thought, is I also feel, my opinion, it is just as important that our teachers and our administrators see us in that school. So that they know, we're there, and it is great to see, not that they can see a smile anymore, but that it's important to us. So, but I just don't want them to feel like they have to roll out the red carpet and make us things, because that's not what our intentions are. We want them to know we're there just to make sure that the school is in order. So that being said, I don't think we have to do anything with the policy, so we'll just leave it alone. Okay, sounds good to you, Mr. Jones?
Sounds good, I'll take no action to take on it.
Okay. All right, so on to the next one. Do I have a motion to consider approving the amended reopen plan for the 2020-2021 school year?
I'll make a motion to consider approving the amended reopening plan for the 2020-2021 school year.
Thank you for that motion, Mr. Herron. Do I have a second?
A second.
Thank you for that second, Mr. Frazier. Any discussion?
Yeah.
Go ahead, now. Go ahead, let it out. Had no doubt, Mr.
Give me a
You would
compliment.
let me down if you didn't.
Give me a compliment. First of all, I want to say I really want to thank you and commend the administration for working on this plan and being so flexible with all the changing items we have to attend to. Certainly this virus right now, it does not act like anything that you can predict. So the flexibility is greatly appreciated. I did have a question when you start talking about the cohort groups. Now, that's something that needs to be added to the plan later on, or is it in there now? Because
That's what I was
just
gonna
kind of
ask.
scanned really quick and I didn't see it.
I didn't see anything.
Is it in there now?
Well, the three of us didn't see it.
I guess we highlighted in
Let me
yellow.
send this to you, because this is today. So, I'm gonna send you an email right now, so make sure you got the latest version.
Oh, this might not be the latest in OJ.
It should be.
Yeah, we was looking
That
at
is- that was the first time I heard of it, so I didn't see it.
I don't see it. Because it would have been highlighted in yellow. Had it been.
Yeah, I have to admit, I just went to the yellow. Yeah. I
Word for word, baby.
didn't
word for
reread the
word.
whole thing again.
Yeah, it's also when you stack the papers in front of you. It
Oh, yeah, I see it here.
should be.
All right, page two.
The very last page.
Oh, okay, now this.
Just sent the email with the
Yeah, I
attachment
see it.
too, so you get that.
Yeah, I don't think that was it.
Found that.
Yeah, it's in the print, it's not on.
So this particular student,
Get on there.
this particular student, or these particular 3 students,
3 or more.
right, 3 or more, will be, I mean, that group could actually roll from the bus to the class to the,
Yes.
trying to understand.
Yeah, let me,
That's-
give you an example. Let's take this room here as a classroom. This is a cohort group
Yeah.
we've
Right.
created tonight, okay? If 3 or more people in this cohort test positive for COVID-19 within a consecutive 14-day window, everyone in this cohort group would be quarantined for 14 days. Okay?
But if this was one class and we all moved on to different classes, it wouldn't affect unless we all 3 went on, or 2 others in that group moved on.
Every
Gotcha,
time you go to a different class, you've created a new cohort.
gotcha.
You go to a different activity. You have some students that will have multiple cohorts. A high school
Right.
student
Oh,
will
yeah.
have 4 classes. That's 4 cohorts. If they're in sports or activities, they'll have a cohort group for each one.
Gotcha. And this came from the CDC or the state?
CDC recommends it. They consider that their definition of an outbreak within a cohort group, 3 or more.
That kind of helps a little bit with some of that contact tracing maybe, because it's
That's
almost
exactly,
impossible.
that's exactly why we did it. It's almost impossible for the direct, exactly. That's exactly right.
Okay. Any other questions about the reopening plan? Go ahead, Mr. Harrell.
And I hate to, I know this is speculation, but it was either last Monday or Tuesday that Governor Reeves did the mask mandate
Correct.
for 2 weeks, which, if I'm right, will end possibly Tuesday or Wednesday.
I think it's Wednesday.
Okay. If that is lifted, which probably won't be, but if that ends and is not reissued, does the mask order at school change for the students? I know our original plan had employees in it, but will it change for students?
In our reopening plan that we amended, and let's go back to that wording.
Yeah, I saw that,
Yes, you look at the
unless
second,
modified.
you look at the second bullet. If this mandate is in accordance with the executive order, it will remain in effect unless. So if he modifies it, then it would go back. That is correct.
And then it'll go to suggest or
Strongly
encourage. I got you.
Correct.
Okay. Because I have gotten a few of those questions, so I want to clarify that we would amend that if it happens.
And
Because then they want to know when the end is.
say that again.
People want to know when the end, of course, the end of everything, but how long is the school going to require this? Well, I've been saying that it's coming directly from the state, and we will adhere to the state guidelines.
In this plan, if he amends it, then it's amended on our reopening plan, and that would be at the discretion of the board to approve that or to extend it at the local level. That would be your discretion at that time.
So would it have to go, would we have to amend it immediately with a meeting, or would it go to the next meeting? Or this covers that, right?
This
Yeah.
covers that. You approve this plan, when he modifies it, if he extends it, it's
Gotcha.
extended. If he amends it, it's amended. This plan, basically, he is over our PPE mandate at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Can we, I don't know how the board would feel about us just having, and I hate to do it, but a line item for COVID.
Well,
And-
it's gonna go there.
Is it gonna be every week? I mean, every month?
The reopening plan.
Perfect, that's what I was
Yes.
thinking. We should have a line item with this in it every single month. as well as any additional, so I would,
Right.
I'm crazy about my line items, you know that. It just kind of keeps so that this
He
is,
said, yeah.
I am, but this, in my opinion, the public can easily go to our agenda and pull bond. Here's all of our bond information. Okay, COVID is so rapidly changing that it's hard for me, and I have the paper in front of me, much less parents with multiple kids and all, it's a lot. So if we can do a line item,
Making a note.
and then also in that line item is where we can address every month or two, or if the MSBA sends down recommended suspending or amending, or that's where we can have some of that stuff to keep it together.
Yes.
You
Want one
understand?
of the policies?
I'm sorry?
You want one of the policies?
I want it with the policies, but maybe we can, I don't know if you can do like a,
Just a note?
something, or like just so that it's a tracking every single month. These are the policies that have been suspended. And then if we add another one, we can add it in there. I don't know if that's possible with this program, or we'll think about that. But I definitely know a line item would kind of help for me
And
personally.
that's something that the president and the
Yeah, we can
assistant
work
to
that.
the board can work out how the agenda is set.
Yeah. But that would be great, I think, for the public to easily access it. All right, Mr. Jones, do you have anything on the reopening plan? Any questions?
No questions.
Thank you.
Now, is the school providing PPE for the students, the masks and stuff?
No, sir, we do have some donations, Mr. Herring's one of them. He made a financial donation. Papa's Campers as well made a donation. And we purchased 1,000 masks with that. We'll be purchasing some more of what we call the temporary mask for the the children's size. And what we're doing with those is we're gonna have those at the school. And if a child shows up without one, those are the ones that we're gonna hand out at that time.
Can I ask a technical question real quick on the 6-year-old? How's that gonna go down? I have a 5-year-old that will start kindergarten and turn 6 on September 29th.
It's gonna be very simple. Kindergarten students will not be required to
Oh,
wear
okay.
masks.
Gotcha.
Strongly encouraged, but not required.
Easy.
So
easy
not
enough.
the age then, it's not the number,
It is in the executive order,
but
but we're not going to have some kindergartners
Yeah, that's-
required.
there's
some-
no-
That's what I was wondering if the next day he would have to put his
Right.
mask on.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
We're
good
gonna
deal.
cut it,
that's a good idea.
the
yeah.
grade is what's going to
Right.
That's easy. That's
We go first grade and up,
Perfect.
kindergarten and down, because we have preschool students too that are under that age, that will not be required.
Okay, any other questions? We'll call for a vote. District 2,
Yes.
District 3,
yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 5 votes yes, motion carries unanimously. Do I have a motion to go into closed session to determine if we need to go into executive session for a student matter? Thank you, Mr. Herring. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Frazier, for that second. Any discussion? All in favor, make no, oh, no, I'm sorry, District 2,
Yes.
District 3,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 5. Motion carries. We are now in closed session. do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Mr. Herron, for that motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you for that second, Mr. Frazier. I will call for a vote. District 2?
Yes.
District 3?
Yes.
District 4?
Yes.
District 5? Votes yes. We are now adjourned. Thank you.